So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So wherever you might be listening to our podcast, you're very, very welcome. And welcome to our Business Owner Spotlight series, where we talk to the very best in Irish business. We talk to the people who are driving those businesses, what their opportunities are, what their challenges are, and I suppose a little bit about their businesses and where they see going forward. So this morning, I'm delighted to introduce Ian Beckett, from a company called Eirtight Technologies. Ian, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much, Des. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and the business, in your own words. Who are you? What are you doing?
Well, we develop pragmatic automation solutions for small and medium enterprises, sometimes large enterprises. Personally, for the last 40 years, I've been scaling US multinationals, helping them deliver appropriate services in Europe and Asia and Latin America. And I suppose the trick is to deal with the cultural factors that differ between here and America. If you teach, most training courses in which are originated in the US are focused at teaching teamwork. If you teach an Irish guy to do teamwork, he just learns how to drink better. You need to teach people in Europe and Asia to be collaborative, okay, but competitive and decisive and better risk takers. And I've always been measured by output and return on investment. And the return on investment of the work I've done has generated over $200 million for the companies I work for, which pretty much stopped them asking me what I did and how I did it, in case they got the answer they didn't want.
It was the outcome they were looking for, and the savings was obviously significant in that case.
Exactly. Let me give you a great example. One of the companies I worked with, and I now have a small company called Eirtight Technologies, that does this, but Gateway Computers, those cow-spotted boxes that everybody remembers. When I turned up in Ireland, they had just missed the Christmas sales window, which, as you can imagine, is not going to earn you your bonus for the next year. A year later, they asked me to integrate everything between marketing and manufacturing in Asia. But in Ireland, they had let's call it old-fashioned way of testing product, because as you remember, for PCs, you could order anything you would want and they'd bundle it together and ship it out to you, and you'd have a low-cost PC with the very latest technology. The problem, of course, was that just doing a check-the-box robot-like test didn't really work. But I hired the guys from customer care who were taking those irritated customer calls and got them to do the testing. And obviously, they couldn't go drinking with their buddies if they screwed up. So the result was an order of magnitude improvement in quality and service and reduction of cost. Very simple, but very much behavior oriented and biasing towards the strength of the people rather than treating people like robots, using their intelligence and competence.
Absolutely.
And the same applied I managed IT in 9 telcos around the world, including Meteor Mobile in Ireland. And there, when I started in the year 2000, because I've been doing this a very long time, I found that there's an IT budget of about $40 million. And a year later, it was $28 million across 9 markets as we grew from $100 million to $1 billion in revenue. And the cycle time, because most of the work that I've been doing has been accelerating product introduction, which, as you know, is the main business of any company. The cycle time in one company reduced from 6 months to 2 weeks.
Wow. And
this changed the competitive position in the market. It changed the value. And I know in one case, the guy who hired me called up my boss and said, "How's Ian doing?" And he said, "Oh, I have no idea, but he's saving me millions of dollars. I'm afraid to ask." And that's been I think the main trick all along, that you build the capacity to do what you want, and that leaves for for me for a happy work experience, that I enjoy what I do and I have fun.
Very good. So quick, obviously you're dealing with businesses and connections across the globe. How did COVID affect you? What were the biggest impacts of COVID?
Well, that's a good question, Des, because about 16 to 20 of my people in Bolivia, which is literally half a world away, used to travel to Ireland to work with our customers. This was impossible when they were locked down. The cycle of COVID around the world was variable, I suppose, but we taught our customers to do their business analysis. And like all of us, we all worked remotely. It was a little slower, but it had a double benefit. One, it was a lot greener than flying someone halfway around the world to do a project plan. And the customer found, and all the customers found, they were able to operate pretty much as normal. Now, would this have happened if everybody in the world wasn't on Zoom and sort of the mantra was, you're on mute, unmute yourself, please. That's the nightmare that you wake up screaming with. Yeah. But that was, I think, the major factor, and that you don't need to travel. And we had technology that avoided travel, and the fact that you can deliver remote services professionally and competently as if you're beside each other was the main learning, I think.
And is it something that you will continue with, a hybrid kind of a version of face-to-face and virtual, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yes and no, I think is the easiest way of putting it. I was down in Portugal recently with the TM Forum that I'm doing some work with, the group that of 850 odd communication service providers and vendors. And meeting physically was far more productive. We'd been used to meeting weekly and doing all the usual things, but communication happens when you meet people, and it works without meeting. But I think a hybrid version is key, and that is what will happen. I visited some of our customers in Ireland for the first time in a couple of years recently. They were quite happy to talk on the phone or Zoom, but it's much easier to give, let's say, complicated information face to face.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Yeah. So what would you say is the biggest challenge facing your industry right
now? I believe, and I'm looking at, let's say, large enterprises that are digitizing very rapidly. They're leaving people behind. People who would have traditional management skills are often fearful of what happens when technology overtakes them. Investors are still looking at return on capital employed rather than return on human capital employed. And teaching people to work as a team collaboratively. And we're now looking at the Great Resignation, where millions have left their job and decided after you mentioned COVID, after the COVID pandemic, it's pretty cool to work from home and have a better work-life balance. So doing jobs that you hate, which I have never done because I've always made it my business to enjoy it, but doing jobs you hate is pretty stupid. Now, an employer can make a job for an employee, and I've often found you have to work to the person's strengths. Sometimes they're a square peg in a round hole, and you have to help them find something else. Other times, having a bunch of mid-range experts can produce a team of superstars if they work together. And the job of a manager is to eliminate the non-performers and the prima donnas who won't share their information or skill sets or technology. And I think that's what I see, my role in the future, working for country or corporate transformation. And I'd say the best customer is always the customer that believes that what you're proposing is impossible, and when you show them it's not, their eyes light up, and it's pretty magic.
So tell me, Ian, what would you say to your 18-year-old self if you met him on the street?
That's
what advice would you give him?
A very good question. You don't have a job for life. do what you enjoy, what's your passion. I think I made a mistake in moving into technology. I went to Kevin Street College of Technology and did telecommunications and engineering. And years later, I did social engineering, organizational behavior. And my passion was people. And I found technology slightly boring. But the mix of the two are pretty good. So follow what your passion is. My kids, who have businesses of their own, have done this, and they're very successful. But it's not always an uphill path. Let's say American corporates kill off their children every couple of years, traditionally in Ireland. So you learn to reposition yourself quite quickly. And that means that you're not looking forward to getting your bus pass and retiring to play golf, but doing everything but playing golf, I suppose, is an objective, and enjoy every moment.
Absolutely. Great advice, Ian. I know you're heading off shortly. I think you're heading off for a few days away. So
exactly.
Enjoy your time away from the business.
Thank you very much.
Our time is up. It's been great getting to know a bit about yourself, a bit about the business, and some great advice, actually, about keeping it simple. And, the importance of people, I think, cannot be underestimated in industry at every level.
Exactly. And if I can help people achieve what they should, that's very satisfying. And thanks for your time, Des. It's a pleasure to join you on this podcast, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.